Vendorty has been playing absolutely masterfully with this set deck and has really unlocked, in my mind, a lot of the potential that this set deck has. It's not just play big dude, go smash. It's like very, very nuanced as we take a look at the head-to-head here. Anu.
Yeah, so Darius coming in at 6-1 means that Prismaticism will be deciding who goes first in our final match of the night here. Of note, Trifarian Warcamp, the Arena's Greatest, and Candlelit Sanctum for our Darius player really just shows you how much we're trying to leverage the token generation from the Hook archetype. I am ready to take a look at the very first deck list, and honestly, we've taken a look at SETT multiple times now. Show me the sauce. Let's take a look at Darius here. Walk me through this archetype and what it is trying to do with this Darius deck.
Oh, absolutely. So you can have arguably one of the strongest openers in Riftbound here, using Darius's ability to generate additional resources with seals, getting Vanguard captains out super early. But really the bread and butter here is Vanguard Captain getting baited hooked into a Spectral Matron, which then brings back the Vanguard Captain again. That is build an army with just a couple of cards, just built in. Absolutely super strong. I mean, really the key here, baited hook is just pure value. It's not like the birthing pod decks of old where if you untap with birthing pod and any 2 creatures, you just win the game. It is, you get to slowly but surely build an overwhelming advantage with the baited hook, not only upgrading your units, but also allowing you to effectively retreat your units for free because you sack the unit at a battlefield and then can play it back at your base if you'd like. Really, really strong, and a lot of different lines of play that can be very strong in this Darius deck.
Yeah, I think when we first started, Victor was the de facto baited hook deck, having access to cards like Watchful Sentry that were very nice to kill so you could generate their passive abilities. But now we've sort of migrated over to red, and a couple cool cards here with Cleave, Darius itself, Vayne, and Draven. On the other side, we'll see how these cards match up as we look at Vendorty's list one more time to see the innovative build here on SETT, which features 3 copies of SETT Brawler. Anything you want to say about this list before we dive into the match?
I mean, SETT Brawler has been an absolute all-star. Being able to, if you're on the play, having a full suite of 2-cost units to have that early tempo. If you're on the, if you're going second, you have the ability to play that SETT Brawler on turn 2 just as a default that your deck gets to do. It's absolutely one of the stronger things you can be doing in Riftbound right now. A lot of interaction, a lot of very powerful 4-drop units as well. I mean, this SETT deck is really looking like a very tight-built list, and it's been paying off now, coming in as the 8th seed and making it all the way to the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one final request here, which is if you are rooting for SETT to win, go ahead and give us a catboy in the chat. If you're rooting for Darius, I guess I'll take a fish or a hook or something. I don't know. Let me know where you stand, chat. And then also, Blev, I want to hear your opinion too, which is, what do you think? Who do you think is going to take it in this final match of the night?
Like I said, I'm super biased. I'm rooting internally and externally for the Darius for a number of reasons that I talked about, but boy, has Vendorty really, really impressed me with their technical play, and just the tight build of this SETT deck has really, it's a bit of a level up for me in terms of deck building and deck playing in Riftbound. It's really easy to see early builds seem kind of generic, and as players are learning the game, see play feel a little bit generic. Also, a lot of starter deck play on my end, teaching in stores, but this is like, oh, this is what high-level Riftbound deck building and play can look like. So it's really hard for me to not pick Vendorty here.
All right, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm gonna play a little bit of the devil's advocate here. I think Hook something about that card really just makes me happy, you know, dopamine. It really just triggers the nice brain chemicals. And so I'm going to be on the hook side here. I think it's a very explosive deck, a deck that we haven't really got to see so far in this event. And so I'm hoping that we can really see the Darius archetype in its full feature. We'll get to the match as soon as available for you. But one thing I want to do before we get along, you know, is to give a massive thank you and shout out to our production team, our staffing team. It is like 4 a.m. right now in Europe, where many of our friends are, and the passion that it takes to sort of stay up that way late, you know, just working on a amazingly produced show. It goes noticed, friends. So I'd like to say, if you haven't already, certainly hit the follow button here so you will know when the next Riftlab Trials event is. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I am as well. I am one of the people where it is pushing 5 o'clock in the morning right now, but I am super excited to be here. The production is absolutely fantastic. If you remember me from Legends of Runeterra broadcasts, it's really awesome to be back in the seat here, casting high-level events for card games, because, you know, that's just what we do. And I love that Riftbound exists. I love that the community exists. It's been absolutely spectacular and fantastic, and this event is not sold the game short whatsoever.
I do have a question for you, which is if you had the ability to play today, what would you have registered in the event?
Easily this Darius deck, not close. Now, it would have been a horrible decision because I believe that player skill plays a very high, it pays high dividends for this deck, of which I have no reps with this deck, so it would have been a horrible idea, but I would have snap picked it.
Awesome. Well, I think I would have been on the fence between Victor or Kaisa, but enough of this. Let's get into the final match of the night. It's going to be Vendorty on SETT, battling against Prismaticism on Darius Hook. Let's get to it. So once again, Vendorty in 8th seed, Prismaticism higher up, will have the choice of going first or second, and looks like is choosing to go second here. Walk me through that decision-making process. We saw that happen with the Volibear. Did not go so well for the Volibear player.
Yeah, I think it did not go well for the Volibear player. The additional rune not only is 1 rune for Darius, it's a lot of times 2, because if you can play that spell, if you can play that first card, you get the additional energy with the Darius ability, which allows you to have effectively like your opponent's turn 2 on your turn 1, which is really, really strong. As we see here, double Daring Poro, like other decks just can't do that. And Darius allows you to, and it's really quite strong when you're able to go second but still be ahead on board.
Yeah, you mentioned a super powerful play earlier, which is, you know, with the Darius's second ability, you can get a seal into play with something like a Vanguard Captain. Turn 2, you could play Baited Hook and find a Spectral Matron to get 9 might into play as fast as turn 2, which is incredible. Now, this is still like no joke here, right? Double Daring Poro to threaten for 6 might on the attack next turn. And for anybody who's also watching, just keeping in mind that the battlefields are Reckoner's Arena here for Vendorty, which has been chosen first every single time, and Candlelit Sanctum for Prismaticism.
Yeah, Candlelit Sanctum is a great one. I mean, Prismaticism's deck is very much like analysis paralysis, make the right decision, get rewarded for it. And let's just add on to that by making another decision point when you capture a battlefield. Like if you're already like computer brain locked in, like you might as well reap the rewards from that. And when you know that you have a lot of these silver bullet cards, these veins, these Dravens, the Baited Hook, like wanting to get that specific card, having the ability to get card selection and additional cards with a just card selection with a battlefield here like the Candlelit Sanctum is just going to add to the consistency of the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like we will send the Daring Poro in. It's going to beat the Cithria in combat, but the set passive will keep Cithria alive. We look at the top 2 cards here, thanks to the Candlelit Sanctum, and we put both of them on bottom, I believe. The question now is, what do we do with the second Daring Poro? Are we sending that into the Reckoner's Arena?
It is possible. We're getting such a strong follow-up here. It looks like, no, we're not sending it in. This is, again, the player awareness here, knowing where you need to prioritize your points. Getting that point right now does not matter. It does not increase my clock. It does not increase my tempo. I need the Poro to get me points on attack. So just going to leave the Reckoner's Arena open. That's fine. We'll get it later.
Yeah, also kind of interesting here too, which is like the value of Candlelit Sanctum, keeping in mind that one of the key cards for this deck, which is literally the namesake of the deck, is Baited Hook. And so it's almost like we traded one card to look at the top 2 cards of our deck, see if we want any of them, but then also get a victory point. So not totally unreasonable to treat this Poro as somewhat expendable. I mean, you could literally see the art where it's being catapulted across some sort of field here. You know, I love Poros. They're just so cute.
Oh, they're amazing.
We'll see what the follow-up now here is from Vendorty's side. It looks like we're spending all 5 energy to put SETT into play here, and the aggression continues. The buff goes on Cithria, and now we're entering into Reckoner's Arena for that extra point.
Yep, getting that point advantage again. Like, if it's to a lesser extent than the Volibear matchup, but I think the longer the game goes, the more it favors the Darius deck for the most part, especially if they get a Baited Hook going and the Spectral Matron. So, like, you need to keep up with the points.
Yeah, I think that's a very keen observation. And I think one thing that I'd like to see is just personal learning, is like how to set Brawler line up against a very wide board of, one might recruits and, matrons and all the like. So we'll truly see, like, if this set Brawler build is like the next step in the metagame development. I really love that. But in the meantime, we're going to see one card go on the bottom, one card stay on the top as Daring Poro conquers the Candlelit Sanctum here for Prismaticism.
Yeah, it is interesting you bring up how is Set Brawler going to fare in a world of recruits and Poros versus the slobber knocker of other sets and Volibear units. It is definitely a different texture, right? Like the set being able to go really tall felt excessively relevant in the previous matchups, whereas is Set ever going to really need to spend the buff to get bigger in this matchup? I mean, maybe against Darius, but even then, probably not. Like, there's not that much that gets very strong on defense for this Darius. It's just attacking. It's just going wide, having small units.
All right, and we're going to see Prismaticism wrap up their turn with Vayne coming into play exhausted, another Daring Poro coming into play exhausted, and we have a lot of points in the base here. One cool thing, Vayne is a card we haven't really seen too much here, but it does have Assault 3. Base Might is 2, but when it attacks, it's coming in for quite a lot, and then it has that sweet ability, kind of like a tumble almost, where you can invisibly put her back into your hand, spending that 1 extra energy. Really cool card design.
Yeah, really quite a strong design. Allows you to sort of effectively, in one card, potentially get the double capture, which is, of course, a win condition. Probably the sole win condition of this deck. At least in most cases, you're not going to be getting to that 7 points and then holding 1. At least probably not. You're likely going to be chipping away at points and then overrunning with a big board, a wide board, and some board pumps.
Okay, well, here's going up to 5 points here after the Conquers, and now we have another Set Brawler, and I think it's kind of interesting to sort of evaluate like where we're going to choose to use our set passive. We have committed at least 1 unit to the Candlelit Sanctum, so now the question is, where does the set passive go? Also, just kind of keeping in mind here, like we have really overwhelming might in our base. So Let's see what's going on here. Vayne coming in. Assault 3 going to kick in. She's going to go up to 5 for this combat. And yeah, look at that. This is what I'm talking about, right? Like choosing not to keep the Trifarian Glory Seeker alive and instead holding up that ability for maybe the Cytherea, maybe the set, likely the set.
Yeah, and this is, it's incremental advantage, right? Like the Vayne essentially goes unchecked here, allows Prismaticism to eat the Glory Seeker for free. Now, looks like potentially deciding if the Vayne needs to be returned to hand here.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. In the same way that SETT worked with the Monastery of Hirana earlier, you should be allowed to stack the triggers here. Is that correct? Maybe we'll get a judge to explain that to us. Cool. So we'll see what the final play is here, whether or not the Vayne is able to return to hand or not. And speaking of hands, why don't we take a peek into how the hands have developed over the past few turns? So that's kind of interesting. So we're going to see the Vayne come back to hand here with her ability, rounding out the Cleave and the Hidden Blade. Now on the other side, Challenge, First Mate, Kinko Monk, and Showstopper.
Ooh, looks like we are casting a Hidden Blade on Self here to draw 2 cards.
Very interesting. Oh, okay. And those are the 2 cards that we drew. Yeah, the Seal and the Vanguard Captain. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta wonder what that means, right? That must signal some sort of weakness or maybe inability to deal with the SETT Brawler plus the SETT passive. So that's another signal that, Vendorty likely is going to pick up here. And, well, how do you actually even use that information? Let's find out.
Yeah, Vendorty, I think, certainly sees that as would certainly see that as a sign of weakness. Knowing the hand, it makes sense for that line to happen from Prismaticism. It seems that the win condition here is board being wide and then casting the overrun spell to give all of your units +5 might, get a double cap, and just win from that. It kind of doesn't matter how big the SETT Brawlers are on defense at that point. You're just not getting through that spell with a wide board. So either that or drawing into a baited hook seems like Prismaticism is putting that as necessary to actually closing this game out.
Yeah, and again, the critical point here is that 6th point here that Vendorty has just gotten from holding at the Reckoner's Arena. So now we have a lot more luxury and freedom to sort of relax, chill, build up a board, threaten to come back on the next turn, hitting twice as hard as we can right now. So we'll see how Vendorty chooses to play out the rest of the turn, whether or not the SETT Brawler that is in the Reckoner's Arena will come back to base. But instead, we're actually we're doubling down here. We're going into the Candlelit Sanctum, and we're looking to get that final point. That winning point even.
I see what you did there, and I like it. This is interesting because, again, this does not... what this does is it forces the double cap from Prismaticism, because if he doesn't get the double cap, you just win the game, right? You will get that winning point from holding, but it also potentially makes it harder, because if Prismaticism is able to get the double cap, it makes it harder for Vendorty to then recap to prevent the tempo from Prismat. So I do like it in some ways, but I'm also a bit dubious of the play, because if Prismat can solve this problem, then it potentially sets them up to win the game, whereas a more conservative line may not do that. I don't know. I'm vamping here.
All right, well, we'll take a look here into how this game proceeds. It's interesting. We played the Pit Rookie. It's going to buff the Kinko Monk. Now, we have 2 units that we can protect with the set here. I have a feeling that, well, I guess it's forced. You must put that buff on the Kinko Monk because everything else is buffed, and the Pit Rookie has no other valid target. So with that being said, if Prismaticism goes into the Reckoner's Arena, I wouldn't be shocked to just see the Kinko Monk kind of go straight to the trash. It really does seem like a tool that is simply forcing Prismaticism to commit to the board, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening here with the Darius.
Yeah, we're seeing Darius come in, second spell cast, get the buff ready, or get the might increase, and the ready here, and we're sending in an attack onto the Reckoner's Arena. Is that 5,
this
6,
is
7,
interesting.
8 might?
Yeah, that is, and I guess that's fascinating too, because we're playing around Call to Glory there, which is a very heads up play. Tokens are disposable. Darius, not so much. Well, actually, Darius, is at 7 plus 1, 8. Yeah.
Yep. At 8, we also glossed over the fact that the baited hook was developed, and there is the additional resources to cash it in now. Looks like we're seeing a full-on attack onto the SETT Brawler here.
All right,
3,
and
4,
now
5, 8, and I can't see the top unit, but it's at least 8, I think 10 total.
Oh, and here we see finally, if we're not using the SETT passive to protect the Kinko Monk, then we must use the passive to protect the Brawler. Plus, the Brawler's the good unit anyways, and we have a stacked hand here that's going to follow up this turn. So I think it'll be relatively easy for Vendorty to capture both points and win the game. We haven't really talked about this, but we are the top cut. If we get one of the battlefields rather than get the 8th point, we'll do the draw replacement. And I guess this is a Hail Mary hook activation.
Yeah, that's a good one to hit. That is as big of a unit as you can get for sacking a Daring Poro.
yeah, right? Daring Poro at 2, Darius at 3, but Darius has that extra ability, which gives it additional might equal to your total number of victory points. And at 6 victory points, I mean, now the board is looking really good here for Prismaticism over at the Reckoner's Arena.
Yeah, Draven saying it's Draven time, and coming in right at the opportune time, putting 14 might on to the Reckoner's Arena, and hopefully for Prismaticism having it be enough, though. The showstopper potentially going to be stopping the show for Prismat here.
Yeah, this one's kind of interesting, right? So Showstopper is going to put the set up to 5 that can trade nicely with the Darius. And then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that should be enough to get that final 8th point in combat over at the Reckoner's Arena.
There it is. Yep. A valiant effort from Prismaticism there. But, cards were on the table. Had about as good of a pull as you could get from the baited hook there in that Draven. But at the end of the day, keyword big is quite good for SETT.
Yeah, I think overall so far, as we recap some of the matches that we've seen today, SETT Brawler's might has been overwhelming. It has been over impressive, and we are just one game away now as we look at the bracket here from Vendorty taking down Riftlab's Trial Number 1, powered by Piltover Archive. And honestly, the way these games have played out, I just have to say, maybe it's good deck building that got Vendorty this far, but also having watched all the games, recalling debates at the right time, sequencing the spells at the right time, Vendorty has been on an absolute tear, dissecting Tog, taking apart the Volley Bear, and now we are one game away, battling against Angie Hook. That's what the cool kids say, right?
That is what I wouldn't say cool, but that is what the kids from the Winning Point podcast say, at least. But yes, I think you brought up a really good point. It's not just been great deck building, it's been great play. These high-level Riftbound matches are decided by inches, not miles, and every little play matters. As we look at Vendorty's list here, we, of course, are seeing a lot. We've seen this quite a bit, but I still... actually, this may be a matchup where we finally see Anivia come in and be able to wipe out a bunch of units in one fell swoop.
You did the Darius, sorry, the Draven line, right? I've got the Anivia one on lock. You ready for it? Nailed it. Nice. Yeah,
Nailed it.
but finally, you're right. In the sideboard, we have 2 copies of Cannon Barrage, the 3 Noxian Drummers, and the 3 Anivias. And I think this is a great opportunity to at least bring in the Cannon Barrages. I'm excited to see whether or not the Anivia makes it. Let's take a look at the Darius sideboard here to see how our baited hook player is going to adapt to the postboard games. In the sideboard, there are 3 copies of Salvage, 2 Call the Week, Bring Here Thunder Song, I believe is the name, and then 1 Darius, the yellow Darius, which is kind of like an anthem effect for all of your cheaper creatures here. Anything you see that's kind of interesting?
Yeah, the Call of the Week theoretically seems quite good. You do need to do quite a bit of management because while SETT doesn't have the actual token generation that this Darius deck has, it sure does have a lot of expendable units at the end of the day. But if you're able to take out a SETT brawler with a Call the Week, that is potentially a game-ending play.
All right, going into our opening hands here of potentially the final match of the night. Let's take a look at what's going on the side for Vendorty. There is Call to Glory, Fiora, Sabotage, and Noxian Drummer. So excellent turn 1 play here in the Drummer. On the other side, Seal of Unity, which is going to come into play on turn 1. The Manufacturer, Draven, Cleave, and Hidden Blade. And that's actually excellent when you combine the spells in hand with Darius's Legion ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to play that 3-drop on turn 1 with the seal, absolutely the bread and butter of what makes this Darius deck really tick. There's a lot of little things that are coming together to make the Darius baited hook deck really work, and the seal synergy with Darius's Legion ability on the Legend is certainly one of them.
Absolutely. So we're going to go into the next turn here with a total of 3 energy. We'll see what the follow-up play here is. One thing to keep in mind is the battlefields are Vile Maw's Lair on Vendorty's side against the Arena's Greatest. And, it's kind of interesting to see how these are playing against each other. Hidden Blade going to be used immediately on the token that just conquered Arena's Greatest to draw 2 cards. And I think we're just digging very aggressively for an early baited hook.
Yeah, looking for something, right? Like we saw this happen earlier where Prismat understands how the game ends in his favor, and if you don't draw the cards that you need, you gotta find them, right? So seeing that Call the Week very aggressively used just to draw the cards is something that we probably don't see a lot of other decks utilize in the same way, but Prismat is effectively playing like a pseudo combo deck. So when you don't have your combo pieces, gotta find them.
Yep, absolutely. Turn 2 for Vendorty. Noxian Drummer going to come into play, conquer the Arena's Greatest, going to go up to 2 points now, and then follow that up with a SETT Brawler, exhausted in the base here. We'll see what the next play is, and if I had to guess, Prismaticism's hand is probably like radically different, having drawn 2 cards off the Hidden Blade and an extra card for turn. We'll see if Baited Hook comes into play this turn, and I have to imagine if it hasn't already been slammed, like Windmill slammed into play, that maybe it's not there. And, whoa, this is interesting. Okay, Cleave. Yeah, the Cleave that we knew about is going to pair alongside the Manufacturer to win combat here.
Yeah, absolutely is. And we certainly...
Whoa. Sneaky.
Yeah, the Call to Glory, so strong. Getting the effective, 1.5 for 1, or 1.5 for 2, rather. Quite strong on the side of Vendorty here, but the follow-up, of course, strong for Prismaticism as well, but slowly but surely falling behind here as SETT is getting more of those points, has that SETT Brawler at the ready, and has a lot of resources available.
Kind of interesting. Maybe I missed something, but we Call to Glory on probably the Noxian Drummer, which allowed the token to die. And I wonder if we had the might to survive with Call to Glory on the token instead, keep both of our units. But we'll see what happens here. Now, SETT is kind of naked, doesn't have a buff to provide insurance. And actually, here's an interesting question for you. So let's say a creature that is buffed moves into Vile Maw's Lair, and then somehow you proc that set passive, what happens? Can that creature go back to base?
I would have to read the exact wording on Vile Mau's
I'm pretty
Lair.
sure the boss says it's like a recall. I don't know if that is that must be exclusively different
recall.
from...
Yeah, I believe recall specifically says this is not a move, so I believe you can.
Got it. So actually, Vile Mau's Lair is creating a sort of like a one-sided dynamic here with the buffs that you get with the set passive. So that is certainly interesting, and that's why we're going to see Set Brawler move in to the lair here, followed up by a Sabotage.
Yeah, Sabotage whiffs, but it whiffs in terms of hitting a card, but does not whiff in terms of gaining a lot of valuable information for Vendorty here, knowing that there's really no interaction on the side of Prismaticism, just showing a handful of units, none of which are really that threatening yet.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think about now how best Prismaticism can sort of take back the Vile Mau's Lair. I guess one thing that's really interesting is if you have Hook in play. The downside to Vile Mau's Lair in the Darius deck is not that high because creatures, you could just sacrifice it to the Hook to level it up into something else, and that's how you can effectively, like air quotes, get back your unit to base. That being said, though, there's no Hook in play, so we're kind of just looking at sheer stats. And when it comes to combat like this, with the Captain and the Poro coming in, that set passive looks really, really good to just keep the Brawler alive.
Yeah, that is the premise of the set deck is, you can trade off. My units are good. Okay, we trade here, but I'm taking a full card from you. You are just getting a rune and a buff from me, and guess what? I don't really care.
Well, there it is. Okay, the play that I exactly talked about. We're going to see baited Hook. Let the Vanguard Captain escape from the Vile Mau's Lair straight to the trash, which is honestly like exactly where you want it to be. What do we get off the baited Hook? What's the best card we could possibly find here?
Spectral Matron is going to put probably the most might in play because it's going to allow you to get the to get it back. But Draven, not a bad one either. Sitting at 6 might. Okay, I mean, respectable.
Yeah, I know. Nothing wrong with a 6 might unit in your base. Can't really get challenged into oblivion, and if you can capture even 1 point, probably the Vile Mau's Lair next turn, or the Arena's Greatest this turn. Like heck. Okay. That Draven looks good. And speaking of good, we didn't hit the Matron off of our baited Hook, but that's because we had it in hand, and we're still going to get that 9 might play on this turn.
Yeah, and now we're at point parity. We've got a very, very strong board from Prismat here. It's going to be a matter of how Vendorty reacts to it.
Okay, Kiana going to go into the battlefield here, get rid of that recruit token, and we're going to elect to draw a card instead of channeling a rune. Maybe get some more options so that we can survive or stabilize against the Showboat Draven and the vast amount of power split up into many of the smaller creatures.
Yeah, and also the unknown of what the Hook is going to hit and when it's going to be used, right? That is the scary part of this deck is that, yes, you can factor in what your opponent has on board. You can even with Sabotage know what they have in hand, but boy, can you not know what is on the top of their deck with the baited Hook.
Yeah, I think something that it just excites me personally, it just clicked in my brain, this is interesting deck building, is that you can actually sacrifice a token to get Vayne, which could come into play readied, and then you can swing in for 5. So that's really actually very cool. We're going to see Set go into the lair again, bump up to 6 points here, which is threatening game on the next turn. It could very well just be the entire tournament based off of the next few moments here. So let's see what happens here, whether or not Prismat is going to be able to take down the Set. That Set passive is just proving to be so tricky. I mean, for example, let's say we have another way to buff the Set in our hand for Vendorty. That's, not only do we have to worry about the set just being in play, but it's going to come back at 8 might, and that's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah, it really is. And the problem with for Prismaticism is A, they're just behind in points, but B, they can't really do that much on defense. Like they basically need to stay ahead on board and then take a double take to end the game. If they have to hold to either try to win or try to not lose, the deck really does not do well with it.
That's sick. Okay, we did the play. I'm sure we did the math or something like that, but the token got sacked. Vayne is now in play. She enters readied because our opponent is occupying a battlefield, and that is a massive might bump from 1 all the way up to 5.
Yeah, it is a huge might bump, but the problem for Prismat is that even if all goes well for them, SETT not going to die because of SETT passive, and Prismat will merely tie points at 6 apiece, which is good, but also Vendorty is still threatening lethal.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another tricky question too, which is like you're facing, the potential victory on the next turn. Do you bounce this Vayne back to your hand, or do you just say, hey, look, 2 might is 2 might, and I need this to stay in the game here?
I don't know how much might Prismaticism can afford to sacrifice at this point.
Right?
Like it is really a tough one to it's a tough one to calculate, but I know if someone's going to do it, it's going to be Prismat.
I feel like not only do you need additional might, you need additional might at better than the standard rate that you would normally get it at. You know what I mean? Like if you bounce the Vayne back to your hand and play it again, it's just like, it's cool when you're attacking, but like you need more than 2 might. So this is where I let the great players sort of figure it out. They're here in the finals for a reason, and we'll see what best effort Prismat can pull up here against what seems to be just the unstoppable set build of the weekend.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say what Prismat needs is additional might and also additional might, and then also some more additional might.
All right, there it is. So SETT does lose in combat, but is protected by the boss's passive ability. That's going to get rid of the Spectral Matron. We are going to cap the point. We're going to go to 6 here. What is the follow-up play here for Prismat? How do we set up this puzzle? How do we win? I mean, the other option, too, is you could just try to put everything in one of the battlefields. That's kind of tricky, though. I don't know if that gets you where you need to go.
Yeah, I feel like it's not an enviable position for Prismat, I don't think, is all that I have to say about it. But we're gonna see what they can do. There's a Draven at just about max power. Yeah, throwing everything into Vile Mausoleer. If you got it, you got it. Otherwise, let's see it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too. I mean, I think this is reasonable because once we go into red, we do have that Vayne in hand, which is going to come down for 5 might on the next turn. If we draw into something like a Cleave or a Hidden Blade, we might be able to hold with our point here and then capture the other battlefield, which must be what one of the lines that Prismat is considering. Now, just as a update on the battlefield math, Vanguard Captain plus the 2 tokens, that's an easy 5 might. 3 from the Draven puts us up to 8, and then we go all the way up to 14 with Draven's ability. So 14 might on one battlefield, it does feel like that's above one of those significant thresholds that we've seen, which is 5, 9, and 13. So I have a sneaking suspicion that Vendorty is going to say, all right, you can have the layer if you want it. I'm going to be the arena's greatest.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Especially since taking the arena's greatest is going to allow Vendorty to get an additional unit with the War Drummer here. So, value to be had there, sending it back over to Prismat. But I think Vendorty's just calculating it. Do they have enough to go for the win now?
Yeah. Look at the way that they're lining up units here against this and saying, okay, well, if this, then that, then if that, then this. And 5 energy open. That could be a lot of things. It could be like a challenge. It could be showstopper. My eyes are glued to the screen here. I can't even look away. I'm just trying to figure out, like, where this game is going to end here, because Prismat has done a great job at sort of fighting for that final point, fighting for that game 3, and I'm kind of at the end of the day, here's what I've realized is, like, I love Riftbound and I just want to see more games. So caster bias is generally a bad thing, but I am so biased for game 3 of this match because it's been a blast up until this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. This is a textbook lesson in playing to your outs. Like, it looks not great for Prismat, but also, like, present the best possible line and make your opponent figure it out, if it's even possible, which it may not be. We're seeing the War Drummer go over, maybe the Pit Pookie as well. SETT Brawler going over. So yeah, I think they're going with the line you suggested, which is, I'm going to be the arena's greatest. Keep your Vile Mausoleum. That's not going to win you the game yet, at least. Let's put a big, let's put it all on arena's greatest here. And that is going to put the clock on to Prismat to stop, because the hold will win the game. And it's even more.
Wow. Yeah, off screen slightly, power. There's another Pit Rookie up off screen, which buffed the Noxian Drummer. So we're looking at just a crazy amount of might in play. Yeah, there's the Pookie. So that's 2 plus 5, that's 7, 7 plus 4, 11, 12, 15. Hey, how about 17 might? Yeah, I know you have this vein, but if you can take down 17 might this turn, Prismat, you truly do deserve that game 3. So 4 cards in hand. We'll see how this happens. It's going to be intense.
Yeah. Also, not that it's easy to get from one battlefield to the other without ganking, but it's Vile Mausoleum, so even if there was something that you could do, you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't, right? So I don't know. This is going to be kind of crazy. We'll see what happens here. It's going to probably involve, step 1 is Vayne coming into play. Darius. Okay. 7 and 4. 7 and 5, apologies. That's 12.
Yep, that's 12.
But then what next?
Quite. Oh, is it just
over?
Is that
it's
it?
Just over. And after 3 incredible matches here in the top 8, Vendorty with a crazy cool take on SETT the Boss is going to be your Riftbound trial number 1 champion. Congratulations, Vendorty. Very, very well done.
Yeah, absolutely well done. And we can see the progression here, starting off with the mirror match, going into, I think, fan favorite Volibear, and taking out the Blev favorite Angie Hook 2-0 to take down the entire tournament. Well done, Vendorty.
Yeah, a lot of takeaways that we're going to learn from this event. I think seeing Master Yi as a 4 of in the top 8 bracket is an incredible performance for the archetype. But, there are many ways that you can develop in Riftbound. You can choose a different legend. You can also come across with an amazing deck. And I want to say Vendorty's list is just incredible, absolutely incredible. Let's see now one final time for the night the prizes that we've awarded to the players for such amazing performances, and it's going to be the premium Codex Journal going to our first place. Our second place is our custom crafted journals that are great for just keeping track of life totals or anything like that, or just maybe you want to write in your diary one day and you've got this sweet branded Codex Journal. Love it a lot. Thank you so much for providing it. And beyond that, I mean, that's going to wrap up this tournament here. Very, very well done by Vendorty. You can see on the screen right now, just orange and yellow, the colors of SETT. Really great.
Yeah, super great. I literally did buy a Fury Chaos one while I was watching the event, so I'm going to be rocking it once that comes in. Definitely suggest you check it out as well. I mean, really cool. Always love having a life pad, love having a notepad for physical TCGs, which is just the beauty of playing in paper, playing in person. I absolutely love it. Love the prize.
Yeah, and I guess as we're going to close up here, I want to ask a couple questions here. First, any major takeaways that you've learned here from today's event that may carry over into tomorrow and future events? What's your favorite moment?
I mean, my favorite moment is just a series of moments of Vendorty playing absolutely pristinely, taking the set deck in a kind of an interesting take on it. Set Brawler really being ironically a showstopper here, and really stealing the show. And really seeing that technical play, that ability to bluff, the ability to interact, really being paid off in a way that we haven't necessarily seen fully fleshed out in Riftbound. I think this is the first big step that I've noticed players' technical play and deck building decisions really paying off.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I'd like to say one more final time here. Massive thank you to our production, our staff, and all the players who showed up today. If you really enjoyed today's content, the best way that you can say thank you is easy. Just hit that follow button. Hit the follow button here on the Riftlab channel. Be sure to check out the Piltover Archive Patreon. The folks over there, they do great work, and any support is greatly appreciated. Blev, where can people find you if they're looking for more of your content?
Yeah, you can find me. My Twitter, X, whatever, is at the Blevins. Also, you can check out Turn 'em Sideways, where I'm doing the show The Winning Point, as well as Battlefield Breakdown and other things to come in the Riftbound space. So make sure you're checking out Turn 'em Sideways YouTube channel and all the places that you can find podcasts.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, so much tonight for your attendance. We hope you enjoyed Riftlab's Trial Number 1, presented by Piltover Archive. I'm Anurag Das. This is the Blevins, and we are going to see you at the next event.